It's another Monday, and today we're looking at the case of Yannick Formonvil versus Denis Valmont and Jean-Jorel Valmont. This is a case which is quite interesting because it shows what happens when the tenants are late on rent and it becomes a habit. We also see why it's important to show up in court and what it can cost you if you don't show up. So, just jump right in. We can see that this case started in 2018, December 2018. The presiding judge is Jean Gauthier. We can see the reason why they're in court. The lease was set at $870 per month, payable on the first day of each month. We can see that the landlord alleges that, or proves that the tenant has not paid on time, so they're paying late, and they've done that. They've been late 12 times in the last 12 months. So, it's not just once or twice, but consistently being late on paying rent. This can also mean, for example, if you only pay 80% of the rent on time, the remaining 20% later on, for example, this is still considered to be late rent. And it's the tenant's responsibility. It's one of the only responsibilities for the tenant is to make sure to pay the rent on time and in full. So that's really important to do. In this case, the landlord alleges that the late payments have caused them difficulty in being able to meet their financial obligations in terms of the mortgage that they have, and then asked the court to cancel the bail, basically to evict the tenants on that basis. And it's the tribunal, the judge notes that it is a valid reason to seek a cancellation of the lease, but in this case, that's not what exactly happens. The judge condemns the tenant to pay the legal fees of $84, and this is the amount that it takes to file a claim at the Régie de Logement, and also orders the tenant to pay on the first of each month for the remaining of the lease, as well as the next renewal. So the judge essentially gave the tenants another chance in terms of saying, correcting their behavior and ordering them to, moving forward, pay on time. And that's the end of that ruling. But the story doesn't stop here. So we can see according to public records, what's available here, that in September of 2022, all parties are again in front of the court. In this case, it's a different judge, Rachel Tupula. And the reason why they're in court 3 years later is that the landlord alleges that the tenants did not pay all of their rent in full, basically. So there's a portion of the rent that has been unpaid since 2020. However, due to the absence of the landlord, the person who filed the claim, and due to the absence of any proof to support the allegation, the judge rejects the demand, and that's the end of that. So again, if you're not present in court, the judge will provide a summary judgment, and usually it's in favor of the person that is actually present. So in this case, it sounds like a portion of the rent, so who knows how many dollars that is, because it's 2 years that's not been paid. It's a claim that that wasn't proven because the landlord didn't show up. And so the judge, because there isn't any evidence to support that claim, rejects the lawsuit essentially. Now, we get more context the year after, in January of 2023, where the landlord again presents a claim to the court to appeal the previous judgment. And we see that the reason that's presented here is that their lawyer had to cancel 48 hours in advance. They notified the landlord that they would not be able to attend the hearing. And the landlord was apparently not able to find the address of the tribunal to get that information, and hence showed up too late for the hearing, or did not show up, essentially. And so the court here goes on to mention that obviously there's a responsibility to show up and to let the court know in advance if there are any reasons to delay or reschedule the hearing, and that only in cases of exceptional circumstances or situations that are out of your control, for example, that will the court take into consideration a appeal of a judgment that was made uh, uh, in the past. And it says here in this particular case um, that they do not believe that it was an exceptional circumstance, and so as a result of that, the judge orders, rejects the demand or the claim, as well as maintaining the decision that was presented in September 2022. So a pretty expensive mistake to be made, to not show up to the hearing. This goes for both landlords and tenants. It's really important to show up to the hearing. It can be intimidating if you have never been to a courtroom, and hopefully you never will be. But if you do have to go and you are served with a notice to appear before a judge at the Régie de Logement at the hearing, please make sure that you do show up. It's important to either be present yourself, have somebody who can represent you, or hire a lawyer or consult with a lawyer before you go in, if that helps you prepare for it. But it's really important to go and be present at the hearing, as it gives the judge an opportunity to evaluate the plaintiff and the defendant's statement of facts and then make a judgment accordingly. If you're not present, whether you're a plaintiff or a defendant, the judge is forced to make a summary judgment based on the parties that present themselves. And that can have serious consequences, as we saw in this case. So who knows how much money was lost on this in terms of the landlord, because they allege that a portion of the rent was not paid since 2020, and it'll be difficult to again appeal the judgment because this was the appeal and it was denied. So interesting takeaways: pay rent on time. That's really important. The judge was lenient and presented the tenants with another opportunity, kind of like a warning, essentially, to make sure that they pay on time. And then if you do go to court, make sure that you're present. If you're not present, you might have to deal with the consequences of a summary judgment. Until next week, I hope you enjoy this content, and if you do leave comments. Let me know if there are any particular cases you want me to look into. I should mention, this is not legal advice, and I do recommend you consult a lawyer should you need to go in front of a housing court, and these videos are made for entertainment as well as education, but should not be taken as legal advice.